Yet again, it's the Oval. Yet again, a team batting first gets in excess of 300 at that cricket ground. On My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live, just here to assess things at the halfway stage between Australia and Sri Lanka. We've got Robin Uthappa and Harsha Bhogle with me. At some stage, I might just mention the fact that I've got the My 11.
I love how modest and underplayed that was. I might just mention this. I'm sitting on the table, I might just mention this. You can have a chat, but I might just mention this. I didn't actually want to draw attention to it. Well, anyway.
Okay, I drew attention to it myself, but I had to. But it was just one of those where you could have seen there was a stage when Australia could have got past the 340, which would have eliminated the couch in a sense. But
you don't have to feel guilty about winning. It's okay.
No. But how do you look at this total?
That's a good score. I mean, I think it's enough. I thought the moment they touched 300, I thought that enough. I mean, Sri Lanka are not playing their best cricket, so it's not being disrespectful. It's just an assessment. That 334, if they get it, then I'll join the celebrations in Colombo.
And Robin, other than that little part when they sent Sean Marsh ahead of Alex Carey, they did tick all the boxes at that stage, and they didn't do what they did against Pakistan. Went too hard and lost too many wickets.
Yeah. I think they timed it right. They actually got the whole first innings right. I think they'd be very happy with the way they batted in different sections of that 50 overs.
Exactly what you're talking about.
The first 10 overs are perfect. You get off to a steady 853 without no loss, and then the next 14 overs were again that was the quietest phase of the game. I think that was when Dhananjay De Silva was bowling. Yeah. He kept it quiet and was bowling those undercutters and keeping both the Australian batsmen quiet. Got a wicket of David Warner, which is a very important wicket, and
two actually. I think.
And then Khwaja.
He got Khwaja as well. Khwaja again, but Khwaja is looking to be aggressive, correct, right? So good catch at the deep there. But the third one was the critical one. I think that's where they came back into the game, where Finch and Steve Smith came together and stitched up that big partnership. They ran beautifully between the wickets, boundaries coming along at regular intervals, and peppered with a few sixes, and it was just ideal for that 173 run partnership. That's the one I'm talking about.
It's come in 20 overs.
Yeah, it's come just less than 20 overs. And I think that was what kind of built the platform again for them to go ahead and score that 340 that they've scored. Had that partnership been a little lesser than 150, then they would have probably got about 300, 310 perhaps. But they had that was the partnership that actually took the game away from Sri Lanka. It seemed like they came back into the game a little bit once they got David Warner and Khwaja out again, but these two took the game away completely from Sri Lanka.
Yeah, I mean, Finch has made 100. Finch has made a big 100. Yeah. I think Steve Smith was the big positive for Australia in this game. 73 or 59. He looked positive the moment he came in.
Yeah, you saw Steve Smith the old. You saw Steve Smith from 18 months ago. Where he's expressing himself, really going out there. Playing around in the mind of the bowlers from the get-go. He wasn't there trying to. He didn't look rusty in any way. He looked like his usual unorthodox self on the pitch, where he was coming across the stumps, clipping it over through mid-wicket for 4, and walking down to Malinga the way he did. So you saw Steve Smith of the old today, and it was refreshing to watch him bat the way he did.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying, you want to see my leg stump, here it is, but you're not hitting it.
No, he said, I'll show you my off stump as well.
A couple of times.
all three stumps. But I think, with Steve Smith on that end, but with Aaron Finch, I was being a little uncharitable while we were watching, and I said, we don't often see what we call daddy hundreds from him. And just after he had got to 100, and guess what, daddy came along and got 153 over 132, which is exactly the number of runs he scored in Sharjah against Pakistan at the point when we were starting to question, yes, he's captain, and nobody else can be captain, but does he have enough runs?
And he didn't go hell for leather the moment he got to his 100. It was so wonderfully organized. I think his last 30 might have come really quickly.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he didn't go hell for leather. The other point to note is Australia have made 334. That's just under 6.7 and over. And the opener made 26 of 48. Just tells you they didn't panic because someone got slow. I thought that partnership was some of the best batting I've seen at this World Cup.
Yeah, certainly have. And again, it tells a story, not just that 153 in Sharjah and the 153 today, but everything in between. A couple of innings in India. And then, of course, there was, there you see, the 153 of 143, which was against Pakistan there on the 24th of March. But look at all the other
scores
got 100
around. Before that as well.
100 before that, 90 after that. Just as one little blip in the middle of this entire run of scores. And this is a man you were questioning.
That's why you respect people who play 8-10 years and you respect people who give them the opportunity to play that long, because he went through a dreadful run of scores last 12 months. But you stay with people of class, because you know that when the tide turns, they'll deliver runs like these. And Finch is a proven white ball player. When the tide turned, look what he's delivering now.
Yeah, and also not just the tide turning. He's a form player, so you know that when he's in form, he's gonna capitalize on that, and he's gonna make sure that he makes up all the times he hasn't scored runs, So he's always gonna end up with a healthy average, a healthy strike rate at under every circumstance, So he's someone who always makes up when he's in good form for all the times he hasn't scored, and also for the kind of way the way he bats, the kind of batting that he does in the middle. It's aggressive batting. It's not just chipping away at the scoreboard. He's there. He's dominating the attack when he's in form, and those kind of innings sets up a game so much in the favor of his team that Australia have the bigger percentage of chance of winning this game.
And not just that, in this occasion, as Harsha briefly alluded to, he also made up for the lack of runs from his partner, or the lack of striking from his partner, in this case, David Warner. So he sort of compensated for that. They still had a decent opening partnership.
They're in London, so Warner's waxwork has come out to bat. From two swords, just walked across from two swords across the river and said, okay, I'll plod around and go back in the break. But there's a different Warner that's turned up here. I don't know if he's auditioning for the Ashes, that, I can bat like this as well. But what I'm thinking about is once he starts to play himself, he starts feeling good, and with Finch in form, that's why I've always got Australia on my list of possible winners. Because Warner starts scoring now, like the Warner of old. Finch is in form, Smith is in form. Suddenly you're saying, oops, this Australian batting lineup's looking good.
And look at these partnerships.
There's something about them, Australia, in World Cups. They just play a different breed of cricket when they turn up to a World Cup. And I think the fact that they've won it 5 times and they have people within that dressing room who've won it so often with them, that I think they're rubbing off from that approach and how they play, the authority in which they play. They're also known for their mind games, and you see them doing that off the field, saying things just before the start of a game, but they back it up, because against Australia it's always a mental battle as much as it's a skillful one in the middle. It's also a mental battle, which is just fantastic to watch. It's great to watch Australia play the way they're playing, because it makes the tournament so much more interesting, doesn't it?
And when you see 80 of 100 balls, you're realizing that, yes, we've just talked about somebody, as you said, you used the waxwork analogy, who's somebody who was not quite himself, but yet they stitched up an 80 of 100 run, 100 ball partnership, and that was a good enough platform.
Oh, it's a fantastic platform, especially at this World Cup. We're not seeing people teeing off in the power play. Those are fantastic opening partnerships. That 15 of 50 against the West Indies was, Finch just got a freak ball from O'Shane Thomas. He was bouncing, suddenly bowled his length ball, nicked them off. Yeah. So this has been fantastic for them. Now Steve Smith in form allows Maxwell to be Maxwell.
Yes.
And so he comes in and gets that.
Allows the rest of them. Allows Khwaja to play the way he played today. Allows, as in Sean Marsh, to go out there and express himself, and Maxwell to go out there and express himself. I just think that they have to get their bowling contingent right. They haven't kind of figured that out just yet, but I think in a few games they'll probably have it just right at the back end of the tournament.
In the last 10 overs, 6 overs went for 33 when pace was being taken off. Lasith Malinga and Isuru Udana in one period bowled 6 overs for 33. And that just suggests to me that maybe taking pace off might be the way to go. And that's why we were chatting there when we were watching the game. Who in the Australian team is going to take pace off? Yeah. Who wasn't taking pace off? Nuwan Pradeep. 10 overs, 88. Thisara Pereira bowled a good last over, but still 10 overs, 67.
Yeah, as you said, that kind of, as you said, look at that scorecard and you're wondering, what are we singing praises of Udana and Malinga? But in the context of how many runs they've scored, going at 5.7 and 6.1 respectively, especially in those last 10, absolutely. When you've got someone like Maxwell at the crease, says a lot.
Yeah, 100%. As in, I think the fact, I think those are very good bowling figures for, given the score that is almost 335, 340, right? So I think they've done really well. Especially Malinga, Udana and Thisara Pereira. The last over is a very clean last over. I think he must have given 8 runs, 8 or 9 runs in the last over.
Score the boundary of the last.
The boundary of the last ball. That line of change probably messed that over up for him. But otherwise, they bowled really well. Even the spinner, the Dhananjay de Silva, is a part-time spinner, has come out and bowled very well. 8 overs he bowled. Hadn't it been for those couple of sixes that Finch hit him off,
you think Malinga wouldn't have bowled at all?
Yeah. Milinda wouldn't have bowled at all.
You know what I think? When you look at economy rates, you're looking at Malinga saying 10 over 61. Look at which overs those were.
Yeah.
And sometimes you must wait. You must give a weightage to the overs that you bowled at. How many was he expected to go for in a normal game, and how many did he actually go for in those overs? And that's what you need to look at. I think.
I think in modern day cricket, if you have an economy rate between of 6 and 6.5, you've had a good day. If you have an economy rate on the day of between 4 and 5, you've had an exceptional day, irrespective of how many wickets you've taken. Yeah.
Just a quick mention on Australia's bowling here, because while they might have enough runs on the board, while it might be Sri Lanka who have not been in the best of a mental frame of mind, but they still might just look at their bowling having conceded a few more than they would have liked.
So they'll bowl Behrendorff with the new ball.
Hopefully.
I think the bowlers are running in thinking my batsman has given us enough runs.
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely feeling confident. They know they're going to end up winning this game. But I think they really have to get their bowling right. It doesn't seem like they have gotten it right so far. I think Mitchell Starc obviously is going to start with the new ball, but I definitely think Behrendorff should also start. But would they want to start with two left-handers? I'm not sure. So you don't know what might happen today. You might see Pat Cummins and Behrendorff starting today instead of Mitchell Starc, and Mitchell Starc bowling for one change.
How many left-handers?
Also, in terms of the bowling options that they have, look at that. That's Kane Richardson, Starc, Behrendorff, Cummins. After that, you've basically got Glenn Maxwell bowling 10 overs, assuming Aaron Finch doesn't want to chip in.
So you're going to get 10 overs, 8-9 overs from Maxwell, but you can't plan to say, you know what, I'll hit 90 off his 10. You can't plan for that. So if you got wickets in hand, you've not given wickets, then you can go after you can go after Maxwell. That's why I'm looking at the left-handers. Dimut Karunaratne, Kusal Pereira, Lahiru Tirimane, Tisara Pereira, Sirivardhana. You've got so many left-handers in there that Maxwell may not mind bowling if his off-breaks are turning.
Yeah. And left or right, you're talking about some middle-order collapses that have really been costing them. Rain and middle-order collapses among other things.
Quite a few collapses in that Sri Lankan team.
1 for 46 to 6 for 60. That was 14 for 5 in Cardiff. And once again against Afghanistan, that was one where you thought they had a platform for a huge score.
Yeah, that game was...
And that Nabi over changed everything.
Yeah, the Sri Lankan supporters would have been really disappointed at that, because they had such a great platform. Kusal Pereira played so well, and unfortunately ran out of partners towards the end in that.
He's a tricky guy. You look at Kusal Pereira and you think, gee, dangerous guy. And he scores, what, 2-3 times in 10 innings? Which is what is worrying Sri Lanka. Kusal Pereira, Kusal Mendes, these are all good players. Angelo Matthews, good players, but they're not giving them runs consistently, which is why we are sitting here and we're thinking 334 is enough.
Now, Robin, as a batsman, I asked you yesterday, hamstring for bowler versus hamstring for batsman in context of Jason Roy. Now, that 10-day break or 12-day break for Sri Lanka, for bowlers versus batsmen, how much more would it affect the batsman?
Well, again, depends on what kind of preparation the batsmen have done in the last 10 days, So, with the way Sri Lanka have been batting, you feel like Australia have, really sealed this game up. But I'd like to see how Kusal Pereira starts off, because he's the only one that I see going out there and creating a dent against Australia and, giving them an outside chance maybe. And if Angelo Matthew comes to the party, then wow, good for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, but he's got the invite to the party previously, but he's just sort of knocked at the door, peeped his head in and said, I'm leaving.
He's got the invite to the party, he's wearing the wrong jacket. He's had the invite in the party for a long time.
Right. Let's try and build up to the big one on Sunday, India versus Pakistan. We're, of course, going to have lots of analysis. We're going to talk about it on our post-match show here. But we've also been sending our man center stage to try and get a little feel of what this whole rivalry is about and what it looks like from the point of view, perhaps, of the media. And we've had some unorthodox views on that. Here's Danish Seth, center stage, with his take on India-Pakistan.
नमस्कार दोस्तों, इंडिया भिड़ेगा पाकिस्तान से ओल्ड ट्रैफर्ड के मैदान में और मैनचेस्टर यूनाइटेड बनेगा मैनचेस्टर डिवाइडेड। कहीं मौका तो कहीं जाए, हम सब कर रहे हैं नफरत फैलाने के लिए ट्राई। मर जाऊंगा पर ग्रीन में कभी क्रॉस नहीं करूंगा। कौन लहराएगा अपना झंडा, कौन डालेगा किसकी? नफरत लेंगे आप, नफरत। Hated anybody? नफरत लेंगे आप, नफरत। इंडिया पाकिस्तान बिग गेम, हु यू सपोर्ट? चाचा, इंडिया भिड़ेगा पाकिस्तान से, आपको क्या लगता है कौन जीतने वाला है मैच? चाचा, हु विल विन इट द गेम? इनको शायद चिंता नहीं है पर हमें है। इस मैच के बाद 15 टिकट बुक करेंगे और लड़कों को भेजेंगे वापस, क्योंकि हमें वर्ल्ड कप नहीं चाहिए, पाकिस्तान से चाहिए जीत। क्या कोहली के शेर कर पाएंगे सरफराज के धुरंधरों को ढेर? ट्विटर और फेसबुक पे होंगे मेमेस के बौछार, अब की बार भारत नहीं मानेगा हार। If they lose match, should fans fight and do like blood?
Not really. It's a waste of time. Might as well go home and get drunk.
कीजिए, इनकी बात मत सुनिए। Sir, India versus Pakistan, do you think the fans must be hitting each other?
Not at all. They should be treating it like a game and enjoying themselves.
Media want that.
Why?
We like
You like violence.
TRP. ये मैं हूं। नहीं, मैं गिरने नहीं वाला। कौन जीतेगा, इंडिया या पाकिस्तान, ये तो होगा मैच में डिसाइड। पर अगर इंडिया हार गया, मैं करूंगा सुसाइड। ग्रीन चीजों को मारो मुक्का। मैच देखने आएंगे नेता अभिनेता, और पता चलेगा कौन है बाप और कौन है बेटा। क्या आपको गुस्सा आएगा?
गुस्सा तो नहीं आएगा यार।
क्या आपको गुस्सा आएगा अगर हम हार गए तो क्या हम पूरा स्टेडियम तोड़ दें?
बिल्कुल नहीं, इट्स अ स्पोर्ट, यू विल एंजॉय इट।
पाकिस्तान से आप नफरत नहीं करते?
बिल्कुल नहीं करते।
अगर पाकिस्तान इंडिया को हराता है तो क्या आप उन्हें 4 गालियां देगी?
नहीं।
क्यों?
इट्स जस्ट अ गेम, क्यों गाली दूंगी? हम जीत जाएंगे, बस है। That's enough.
Dhanyavad, Jingonath ji.
Yes,
That was absolutely brilliant. AKA Danish said.
What a name, Jingonath. I like the last line as well. Rivalry versus revelry.
Revelry.
It was very well done, actually.
Yes.
Well, my views are known and quite strong in this matter, because I don't think you should hijack a sport just to settle other scores. And
Yeah, just spew hate, really.
People tell you this is nationalistic, that's nonsense. If you have to express your nationalism by mocking teams, then you're a poor country already. India's far better than that. So is the other side. I mean, I'm not saying it's only India that's coming out with these ads, and there's some terrible stuff that's coming. So it's a cricket match, you know. I know I've said in the past that you cannot divorce a cricket match from the political reality. It is true, if the two countries at war, you can't be playing cricket. But to be able to be seen as sport teaches you respect. And that's what I'd like to see a little bit more. Try your best to win, shake hands. That's how cricket has been played. You give it 100%. Look what Virat did the other day about. Virat and Steve Smith have had goes with each other in the past. But that is on a difference on a cricket ground. I think just...
Yeah.
But you know it's a rivalry, and you've played enough of these games. You know the fact that, yes, you might have the odd incident between, say, a Gambhir and an Afridi, but otherwise, essentially, you are friends off the field. You might be hard foes on it. You cross that line and you'll go out and have pani puri together, shall we say.
Pani puri.
I was trying to find something a little bit politically correct to
But
have.
yeah, as in, I think there's no reason to spew hate, and you know, I think sport gives you an opportunity to really build bridges, and you know, it sounds traditional, it sounds old-fashioned, but you know, it's what we should move towards. I think hopefully you know, these games are not used as vehicles to
Pawns.
Yeah, as pawns. You know, it's just.
That woman is cute. She said winning is enough, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Isn't it fantastic to win? Yeah. So we're all going to be sitting here cheering India on.
Yeah.
If Pakistan wins, well played. But actually, we wanted India to win.
Yeah,
That's
and-
exactly what a Pakistan fan should feel.
And Danish expresses the most important thing. People should be concerned and about India winning the World Cup, not about India winning just one game in a World Cup. The more important thing is the whole country be so proud and so happy and so joyous, and we'd come together as a nation when Virat and his boys bring the World Cup back.
But it's something that's happened in the past. I mean, forget all the other political issues. That particular aspect has happened in the past where fans have tended to say, we are satisfied with the India victory in that World Cup. But that shouldn't be the case.
No.
It shouldn't be the case.
I mean, it depends on how you rate yourself. Do you think as a team I'm good enough to win the World Cup? Then you should be disappointed not winning the World Cup, irrespective of what happened. Do you tell us that actually I'm not good enough to win the World Cup? If I win that good enough, that's okay. Some teams can only aim that high.
Yeah.
But if you're India with the resources available to you, the players available to you, you should be aiming there and not just being happy winning one game.
Yep.
Yeah, also when coming back to the on-field issues, of course, everyone trying to focus on that, including the Indian captain, he said, yes, he knows there's some rain around, he knows the conditions may ask for that extra pacer, and he's happy to admit that we'll go with it. Why not?
Yeah, why not? I think they should absolutely go with as an extra pacer in tomorrow's game, looking at the conditions that are there, that are prevalent in the Old Trafford right now. So I think they should go with an extra pacer. Maybe Kuldeep would do good to Kuldeep to probably take a break. As in, who would you drop between Kuldeep and Chahal? As in, with the way Chahal's bowling, I'd like to play Chahal for sure. And
I'm not good at acting like Danish, but I'm still looking at the weather forecast.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
it's going to keep updating.
Yeah, well, I think let's
Actually, what the hell? We spend so much time worrying about the weather.
Yeah,
We shouldn't worry about what with no control.
we can't control these.
Can't
things,
control
so.
it, don't worry
All
about
you
it.
need to do, Harsha, is pack properly for the cold.
I mean, it'll be a dampener, no doubt. It's a game all of us want to see. It will be a dampener if it rains, but you can't control it, right? Tsunamis come, floods come, heat waves come. You can't control these things. There'll be the school of thought that says we are causing freak weather, but it's very unusual weather to have this much rain. If it's rain, there's nothing you can do.
But coming back to the fact that we know whether there's actual rain or no rain, it will be overcast, and you've already said that maybe one of the two wrist spinners give way. Shami would be the obvious choice.
I have any day. I actually thought at the start he was bowling so well. As it turns out, Bhuvi's actually bowled well.
Yeah, but he's bowled brilliant.
Bhuvi's bowled really well.
And these are the numbers that Shami had to support him in 2019, sort of like the bowling equivalent of Aaron Finch almost. He's bowled really well, whichever opportunity he's got, and that was his reason to get on that flight to England.
At the start of the World Cup, I actually thought Shami ahead of Bhuvi, but Bhuvi's been such a fantastic bowler.
That's why one needs to commend Virat for that choice of backing Bhuvi, because you're thinking long term, you're thinking to the end how he served the nation in the past as well, and you need to back your main bowler. And yeah, he's had a lean 2019 and slightly lean 2018, but it's also been a little injury ridden. But that's when a player needs support. Right, and to make that call as a leader, I think he made a fantastic call. And knowing Shami and the mindset and him as a person, that he'll take it. He's someone who takes it in stride, and the way he's bowling, and I'm sure he's someone who looks to control the controllables in his life. And the way he's bowling, the authority in which he's bowling, when he comes back to play, he's going to do well for India.
He'll also, if the conditions are good, he'll give you wickets in the middle overs. The reason you play Kuldeep is he gives you wickets in the middle overs. But if it's cold, if it's that kind of day, then you want Shami.
Yeah, certainly do. Plenty more to discuss at the end of the game as we look ahead to the big Sunday, India versus Pakistan, whether or not. And I'm talking about WEATHER, of course. And we still have another game going. We still have two games, in fact, in progress. There's been a little rain around Cardiff, but we'll focus on this particular game that's taking place at the Oval in London. 330 plus is what Australia have put on for Sri Lanka. An uphill task. And once again at the Oval, 330 plus. So from Sri Lanka's point of view, let's remind you of those scores there. 311 was against South Africa. Then Bangladesh themselves, what an innings that was against South Africa, 330 for 6. Just that 244 against New Zealand, but otherwise 4 out of 5 total.
It's a strange game because in that game, New Zealand lost 8 wickets to get the runs. Because that oval surface was a little, I think they were looking for...
It was a day-night game, the only day-night game of all these.
There you go, yeah.
And you could see it had got a little chilly and very different conditions from...
Some of the wickets this time have been a little scruffy.
Yeah. There seems to be a little bit of like the grass it looks like cushion on top of a wicket. So it seems this bounce also has been pretty spongy. you know, and hasn't come on to the bat as well as I think today was better than most days.
Wickets are in the hands of the ICC, not of the ICC.
ICC,
is
yeah,
given
they're
charge
not
of the
easy,
wickets
yeah,
as well. So I think they're leaving a little bit more
For the
So
bowlers.
sometimes it's cushiony, sometimes it's zipping. Yeah, so leaving a little bit more.
Sri Lanka can't complain about the surface today for certain, but can they do something about the surface and get some runs on it? And how many?
If they get off to a good start, they will get two. But if they lose a couple of wickets early, I'm fearing 220, 230, 230.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you're the one who sits on the throne modestly.
Yeah.
it's the My 11
Speak
Circle
now, King.
expert couch that with my prediction of 325, 340 being the outer limit, there was a time when it looked as if Maxwell, Alex Carey and even Aaron Finch, if he'd gone on to maybe 180, would have taken Australia to around
Yeah, but
350
Udana
plus.
played marbles, no?
Yeah.
Yes, I think, you've got to give credit to the Sri Lankan bowlers. We've already talked about it. It's not just Australia losing their way. Some excellent overs from Malinga. The classic Yorkers came in. And
How
Pereira-
good was the ball to Steve Smith? That was my play of the day. If you have a play of the day, Malinga getting Steve Smith bowled with that. Steve Smith, yeah, it was Steve Smith. Yeah. That was my play of the day.
Yeah, it certainly was. But you still have a chance. I'm going to give both of you gentlemen a chance to get this My 11
You go
Circle
first
expert
now.
couch back. I'll go first.
I mean, you only have it for this innings.
Yes,
I
I
mean, I
do.
know it's great and all that, but
Yeah.
okay.
How do I look?
235.
Huh? Oh, you've gone first.
Yeah.
235? That's it? 235. It's around the range I would have gone, but I'll
200. 200.
200. That's it. Which side do I go? Do I be a little more generous to Sri Lanka to try and keep this? I will. I'll give 250. An even 250. Some bit of a partnership stitched together.
We're all burying them. I thought I was the only guy. We're all burying Sri Lanka. I thought I was the only guy.
Imagine as if we're feeling the way we're feeling. Imagine how they must be feeling within that dressing room. It's hard, I tell you guys, and it must be as cricketers when you're inside a dressing room that's feeling insecure. It's quite hard to go out there and really perform.
Can you imagine if Kusal Perera decides right today's the day?
That would be amazing.
Well, I was just
I'd
going
be
to say,
really happy.
somebody
It'll be a great chase. It'll be a great chase.
Somebody
it'd be
needs
a lot
to
of
tell
fun.
him this task is a lot simpler than what you did against South Africa in the Test match. Far simpler.
Yeah.
Or someone should tell them, listen, you chased 320 against India. It was different day, different surface in the Champions Trophy.
And it was at the Oval.
It was at the Oval, but it's complete different day, different surface, whatever. But they've done it in the past. And I'll tell you, if they get off to that start, it'll be good fun to watch.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting.
Kusal Mendes had a good game that day.
Yeah. You're hoping
player,
guys like
honestly.
him have good games. Yeah.
Such a pretty player to
Tiramani
watch.
and Kushal Mendes and
They averaged 28.
Angelo Matthews. Really hoping that these guys come off genuinely.
Angelo Matthews certainly is one who's due for runs in every sense of the word. So all hoping that Sri Lanka can put something together and make it a competitive match. We of course will keep an eye on the other game at Cardiff and bring you up to date with what's happening with Afghanistan batting first there and making a decent fist of it against Rabada and Buren Henriks. We'll come back in the 15th over with Cricbuzz Combox and review everything at the end of the game on My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.